Alan Spooner, and I like cars. Uh, this page or channel will mainly have to do with myself building a wheel to wheel race car. Um, some back history or quick is I've done a bunch of autocrossing, race motorcycles, and things of that nature. A lot of different motorsports, and the last several years has been more and more watching Can-Am racing, going to the Hawk or the International Challenge with Brian Redman at Road America, where it's a big vintage road race festival where they oftentimes showcase Can-Am cars. And since seeing that, it's some of the coolest racing that I've ever seen before. And when thinking about going wheel to wheel racing, man, that vintage racing is what I really want to do. And while I don't have a vintage race car, because unfortunately a lot of those are $200,000-$300,000. I mean, to be driving around the lightweight V8 powered, monsters, it's too expensive. I mean, even if I had one given to me and to run it for a full season, to run a handful of races, I probably couldn't afford to keep it running. So Can-Am racing on the cheap, right? Can't think of anything cooler. The downside to that is, again, the original cars are hundreds of thousands of dollars. The upkeep is extreme. And so the closest thing, the next step down, okay, what about an RCR or some sort of replica car like a Lola T70 or something like that, whether it's an actual monocoque chassis or just a steel tubular frame with the fiberglass body, the shape, the silhouette, still V8 powered, mid-engine. You're still talking 50 grand plus finish the car, So a friend of mine had another idea. In the 70s, there was a company called Manta Cars, and they had a couple different, which were based loosely on the the McLaren M8 chassis and cars. So they were based on a Can-Am car. The M6 GT being the coupe, they're actually streetcar version, but this company Manta made a Manta Mirage. This actual mess over here actually happens to be a 1972 Manta Mirage, but they had small blocks, small block Chevy or small block Ford. They all had Corvair rear suspension and transaxle, and then for the front suspension, they were either like a Volkswagen tube style front end or Mustang tube, semi-coilover front end. So, anyways, old kit cars from the 70s. Not really, not really just ready to be thrown on a track, but the transaxle, the Corvair transaxles, were not very robust at all, and so they obviously let go. But I did end up finding one of these cars, and I guess the thought was get one of these Mirages, these Manta Mirages, and modify it because it's closest to what I want. It's closest to a Can-Am car, even though that's not what it is, right? So what we're going for is a semi-monocoque. It's a tubular steel frame, and still be mid-engine. It'll have a transaxle. It's going to have a V8 and fiberglass body. So I mean, we're talking the Manta Mirage cars. I think dry weight was 1,740 or 1,750 pounds, somewhere in there. Now, of course, the transaxles weren't strong enough for a really powerful small block, but it's not a lot of weight, right? So you don't need a whole lot of power to really propel you. So let's say 450, 500 horse, obviously sub 2,000 pounds, real minimal. We're not really talking a street car. I'm trying to build a track car, so I don't have to worry about a radio or heat or windshield wipers or anything like that. Real bare bones. Some safety equipment, of course, but real bare bones. So what my friend and I found was a 1972 Manta Mirage. It was actually located in Indianapolis. Long story short, talked with the guy, made a deal, went and got the car, and got it home and immediately cut the back half of it off. Pulled the motor trans, cut the back half of the chassis, like literally cut it all off. That's not going to hold up to what we want to do. So need to build something a little bit more robust. I contacted Active Power Cars, Chris Augern, and he had plans. He's built before, but has plans for a Manta Mirage steel chassis, and you can kind of see some of that here, and I'll post some more photos and stuff of that. But it's a steel tubular chassis using C5 and C6 rear upper and lower control arms. Uses the same spindles. We have some aftermarket spindles on this that allows us the use of a 15-inch wheel. So we're going to run a small block Chevy. It's a Porsche transaxle. It's a G96 6-speed transaxle, cable shift, and it'll have a small block. We're going to leave room in building this when we're back half in the car. We'll leave room for a big block, and it's going to be say 1,750 pounds what they advertise. But we might be adding some weight with some safety equipment and stuff, but should be real close to that. I mean, it'll be under 1,800 pounds. It'll be a small block, mid-engine car, steel tube frame, fiberglass body, very light. With these LG spindles, be able to use 15-inch wheels. Right now, I'm kind of in process after finishing up some of these rear suspension assemblies. There's still some other things that need to be done with it, but trying to get our wheelbase figured out. We're working within the confines of the body from Manta cars. So this body we have is kind of what we're using to get this chassis back together and get it back running. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it should be fun. I mean, street cars with 500 horse is fun, and track cars with 400 and 500 horse is a blast, right? So I don't know what this is going to be like. I've never been in anything like this. 500 horse, sub 2,000 pounds on bias ply slicks. Hopefully it'll be scary. That's the idea. So this channel is going to cover this build as much as I can. This first video will probably be just a one take. Don't have a lot of time for editing, but I'm gonna have to make time, right? Because I don't want it to be boring. So we're gonna be doing some fun stuff, and I'm overly excited. I picked this car up last November, and it had sat for a couple months until I could kind of get to it this summer, and started working on it. And I have consumed all of the Can-Am information that's on the internet I can, and now I'm watching YouTube videos for the 10th and 11th time, old races and stuff from the 60s. So yeah, it's fun. So I look forward to doing more of this stuff, and stay tuned, subscribe, hit the like button. I don't want to be an influencer. I just want to build cool race cars. So thank you.